Ever watched a cartoon and thought, wow, that was a little too much for kids? Well, you might be surprised to learn that some of your favorite childhood cartoons had episodes so controversial that they were outright banned. From disturbing messages to pushing boundaries of what's deemed acceptable for kids, these shows went further than we ever realized. Today, we're taking a deep dive into 7 forbidden episodes from classic cartoons. Stick around till the end. You won't believe what happened in Peppa Pig. Let's get started. 1. Gargoyles. Deadly Force. We're kicking things off with Gargoyles, a show that combined dark fantasy with superhero themes. But one episode, Deadly Force, took a turn that no one expected. In the plot, Broadway, one of the main characters, accidentally shoots and seriously injures the detective Elisa with her own gun. It's intense, graphic, and the visual of Elisa lying on the ground, bloodied, was deemed way too violent for a kid's show. While the intention behind the episode was to raise awareness about gun violence, the execution was just too shocking for audiences, leading to it being banned. Interestingly enough, they brought it back later, but only in a heavily censored version, cutting out the blood and gore. But was this episode really too much for kids, or did it miss the mark in a way that could have been educational? 2. Dexter's Laboratory. Dexter's Rude Removal. Now, let's move to the mad scientist himself, Dexter. In the episode Dexter's Rude Removal, Dexter creates a machine to separate his polite side from his rude one. What results is 2 versions of Dexter, one who's incredibly polite and the other who curses like a sailor. The unfiltered language and outright chaos were simply too much for TV standards, and the episode was banned from airing. Years later, it surfaced online through Adult Swim, but even then, you could still hear the remnants of the unspeakable words through heavy censorship. So, was it a bold move to take on such edgy humor, or did this episode take things a step too far for kids' programming? 3. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. The adventure begins. Moving on to Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Remember, Buzz wasn't just a toy, he had his own series. In the episode The Adventure Begins, there's a character named Mira Nova who develops some strange new powers. At first, it seems like a fun new skill, but things quickly take a dark turn. Mira starts to feel invincible and euphoric, but when the powers wear off, she suffers the intense withdrawal symptoms that mirror a drug addiction. The comparison to substance abuse was too on the nose for a children's show, and it was pulled from the air. Fans speculate that the show wanted to send an anti-drug message, but it might have been a little too heavy-handed for young viewers. It makes you wonder, was this episode about teaching a valuable lesson, or did it tread too close to real-world issues for comfort? 4. Family Guy. When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. Let's talk about Family Guy, the show that's never afraid to stir the pot. In the episode When You Wish Upon a Weinstein, Peter Griffin, in his usual absurd fashion, decides that the key to financial success is getting his son, Chris, to convert to Judaism. The whole plot centers around a series of offensive stereotypes, and to say it didn't sit well with the Jewish community would be an understatement. The backlash was so strong that the episode was pulled from airing on Fox. It was a clear example of Family Guy walking the line between satirical humor and outright offensiveness. But was it all just a joke that went too far? Or did the show cross a line it couldn't come back from? 5. Peppa Pig, the Spider. If you thought Peppa Pig was harmless, think again. In the episode The Spider, Peppa encourages kids to befriend a harmless spider to help overcome their fears. In the UK and many other places, it was a sweet and educational way to teach children not to fear creatures like spiders. But in Australia, where some of the most dangerous spiders in the world live, this episode sparked outrage. The lesson was seen as dangerous, considering how venomous some spiders in Australia can be, leading to the episode being banned. Was this episode just a cultural misstep, or was it an innocent story with unintended consequences? 6. Looney Tunes, Coal Black and the Sebben Dwarfs. Now, we're going way back to the 1940s with Looney Tunes. The episode Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs was an attempt to parody Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but it came with a huge problem. The character designs and racial stereotypes were so offensive that the episode became one of the most controversial pieces of animation ever produced.
In fact, the episode was banned after airing only once, and for good reason. Bugs Bunny, the beloved trickster, is seen mocking a character who is depicted with exaggerated racist traits. The episode would later be considered unacceptable, and it's now a prime example of how cartoons were both a product of their time and an agent of harmful stereotypes. So does the humor in this episode still stand, or is it a relic of a bygone era that should remain forgotten? Conclusion. And there you have it, 7 episodes from cartoons you probably never thought would make it to the blacklist. These shows pushed boundaries and faced the consequences for it. Some aimed to teach important lessons, others just pushed the envelope in ways that didn't sit well with viewers. But in the end, all of these episodes were trying to say something, even if the message didn't always come across the right way. What do you think? Were these episodes misunderstood, or did they cross the line? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more shocking behind-the-scenes content.